Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. I am your host, Marcus Johnson. This is TST Radio. Thank you for tuning in. Today, we're going to jump off. We're going to talk LSU and Florida. Just in, LSU's president, he wants to push back the SEC championship a week just to schedule the Florida game. That's not going to work. That's not going to sit well with other coaches and players in the league of the SEC. You can't push back a championship game to play a regular season game. I think y'all just need to come together and get something planned and situated, because this is not only hurting. Well, to me, if this game is not played, I don't think either team makes the SEC championship. So it would be a good idea for them to come together and find a plan to plan this game. Because like I said, I don't think LSU or Florida will make the SEC championship if this game is not played, because it won't be fair to other teams in the league of the SEC. Another view I seen, I think it's kind of odd to where you had Florida State, Miami. They're in Florida, played that game in Florida this Saturday. Who else? NC State played their game in North Carolina, where it was affected by Hurricane Matthew. We had, I think it was three games that was affected by this hurricane this weekend. But LSU, Florida found every reason not to play this game, where other schools found every reason to play their game. Nothing got held back. Maybe they had to go on a weather delay or something, but they played the game. So I don't see why Florida and LSU didn't happen as planned on Saturday. I don't understand why that game didn't get played when all the other games got played. I don't understand that. November 19th has been a possible date for this game. November 19th, I read earlier that it's possible for this game to be played on November 19th. But I hope it get played soon. Like I said, both teams are going to miss out on the SEC championship. So they need to come together and find something. They need to find somewhere agreement to where they can play this game. This is just me saying that neither team will make the SEC championship. I haven't heard this from any high source or anything like that. That's my opinion. I don't think it's fair. I don't think that either team, if they don't play this game, they should not make the SEC championship. That's just my opinion. Moving on. Alabama updates. Out of Tuscaloosa, they had Arkansas on last week on Saturday. Two players that was injured, Alfonso Taylor and Reuben Foster, suffered concussions. They didn't practice on yesterday. I haven't read that they practiced today. I doubt that they practiced today due to concussions against Arkansas. Like I said, Nick Saban did state that it wasn't as serious as people think it is. It's not as serious, but they would like to give these guys time to fully recover. They don't want to throw them back out there due to they don't want to throw them out there and cause chances of them getting hurt again. They want to be cautious due to coming in, getting ready to play Tennessee, which is going to be a hard-fought game coming in this Saturday. So they want to make sure these guys are 100% and that they can go out and perform at their top ability. So those two guys was held out of practice on yesterday, I know for sure, but I don't know if they was held out today at practice. I haven't seen any reports on that. Other reports out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama's defensive backs held a meeting after the Arkansas game after giving up, I think it was 400 yards through the air, 300 or 400 yards through the air passing. It was a lot of big plays in that second half that Alabama's defense gave up due to big bombs on the field. They're not playing the ball. They're not making They're not finding the ball in the air. They're not making athletic plays on the ball. Alabama gets the top recruits in the nation. So these guys should be able to make these plays. There's no excuses for these guys not making these plays on a consistent basis. We're seeing them blow coverages. They're, like I said, they're not finding the ball when it's thrown. They're getting pass interferences. I think it's just these guys are way too talented to not be able to make these plays on a consistent basis. That is something that needs to be fixed. I don't think that is coaching. I think it's want to. I think these guys made a great gesture by going in and calling this meeting, getting all of the younger defensive backs, all of the older defensive backs in that meeting and talk to these guys and let them know that they're not going to win a national championship if they give up these big type of plays consistently. And it's starting to be consistent coming from last year. Well, over the years, it's starting to be consistent for Alabama DBs not being able to make plays on the football wise in the air. I know Micah Fitzpatrick had 3 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown. He had an awesome game. But the defense together still gave up 300 to 400 yards through the air, where rushing, they only gave up, I think it was 73 yards, I'm thinking. So this has to be fixed. Like I said, these guys are recruited real high. They are named the top recruits in the nation, elite recruits. So these guys need to step up and make these plays. I think it's want to. You got to want to make these plays. I think the guys are well coached. They're well coached. So this is just buying in, implementing practice into games. This is all this is. These guys got to learn how to implement practice and get their practice and implement their practice into the game and stop giving up these big plays. Other news, J.K. Scott, SEC Special Teams Player of the Week. He accounted for 4 points, 206 total yards punting, 51.5 average per punt. He had two punts inside the 20. His longest was 63 yards, and he had 250-yard plus punts in that last game against Arkansas. So he was the Special Teams SEC Player of the Week. Micah Fitzpatrick was the Defensive SEC Player of the Week. He had 3 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown, I think 5 tackles. So he had a great outing. J.K. Scott had a great outing. There was great compliments for those guys. Congratulations to those guys, and I expect to see more of these Player of the Week awards from these 2 guys. So big ups to them. Keep up the good work. While we're talking about Player of the Weeks, I want to give a shout out to my guy Kevin Lacey. He is doing awesome up at Tuskegee. He recently won the MVP of the Tuskegee and Morehouse College game. He was MVP of that game. Also, he won Player of the Week for that game on this past weekend. So, congratulations to Kevin Lacey. He's doing great things. Like I said on Twitter, Kevin, you're going to need a bigger trophy case. Tell your mom you need a bigger trophy case by the end of the year because you're doing big things up there in Tuskegee. Keep up the good work. This guy is, at Tuskegee, this guy is a GOAT at Tuskegee, man. He's a great quarterback. He's living up to every expectation that you could ever have of him. So, great job, Kevin. Keep up the great work. Hard work pays off. Proven example. Moving on, SEC. I have stats of the total yards defenses average given up per game. So you can really say these are the best defenses in the SEC right now. Coming in at number 1 is Florida. A lot of people thought it would be Alabama, but due to a lot of big plays, them throwing the ball on the field, they came in at number 2. Florida, they're coming in with 230 yards averaging a game. Alabama's coming in with 293 average a game. At number 3, we have LSU with 326. 4 is Auburn, 347. 5 is Georgia, 368 yards. At number 6 is Mississippi State, 371. Let me remind you, this is the total defense yards given per game, average per game. So you can actually say this list is telling you the best defenses in the SEC, which Florida is ranking out at number 1 due to yards per game that's allowed. So big ups to Florida, come number 1. Like I said, Alabama number 2, LSU number 3, Auburn's 4, 5 Georgia, 6 Mississippi State. Moving on, Louisville. I want to talk Louisville / Houston and versus Navy. I know that sounds kind of weird, but let me tell you where I'm going with this. I think Navy versus Houston affected Louisville more than it did Houston, because Houston took a loss to Clemson, which is a top 3 team. Clemson is number 3 in the AP poll right now. So that really didn't look bad on Louisville to lose to a Clemson. But this past weekend, with that loss, Louisville had to beat an unbeaten Houston, which they will play later on in the season. But Houston fell to Navy on this weekend. They fell to Navy. So the Houston and Louisville game is not as big of a game as it would have been if Houston would have been undefeated. So Louisville has, with their schedule left, they have no way, and I repeat, no way of getting to the college football playoffs. Houston nor Louisville has a chance right now. Like I said, with Louisville losing to Clemson, that wasn't as big for Louisville to lose to Clemson, because I said Clemson is a top 3 team right now. They're number 3 in the nation right now. So that didn't look as bad on Louisville. But when Houston fell to Navy, that gave them 1 loss. So that Houston and Louisville game is not as big, because you got 2 1-loss teams that is not going to get much backup from the committee. So that game is not as big right now. It will be big for the 2 teams to win, but as a college playoff outlook, it's not as big anymore. In my opinion, it's not as big. So that hurts Louisville. That really hurts Louisville, because, like I said, they had a chance of getting there with losing only 1 game to Clemson. But with Houston's losing, and Houston is their only, I think, highly ranked team, was their only highly ranked team on the schedule, top 10 team on their schedule. But now with Houston losing to Navy, I think they dropped to 13. Louisville, that really doesn't play a factor into the college playoff look. So Louisville is really they're stuck right now. There's no way they can get in the playoffs, in my opinion. No way possible they can get in there. Louisville or Houston. No way possible those 2 teams will make the college playoffs. I know beginning of the year, those are 2 teams that a lot of people picked to make the playoffs, for like sleeper teams to get in the playoffs, because they came out with such a burst and great look. But now I think both teams are out. With speaking that, we're going to get into the AP poll. AP poll after week 6. Coming in at number 1 is still Alabama. Coming in at number 2 is still Ohio State. 3, like I said, is Clemson. 4 is Michigan. 5, Washington. I'm only going to give you the top 5 like I always do. You're going to have to go to my social media pages. Twitter, True Sports Talk. Facebook, True Sports Talk Radio. You need to go there. And you can find the rest of the polls for the AP poll top 25. But to say Wisconsin coming in at number 8 after their loss to Michigan, which this week they will be going into another hard game to play Ohio State. After the loss to Navy, Houston fell to 13. Florida State jumped 9 spots after beating Miami to number 14. So that tells you the committee and whoever does these polls really favors Florida State if they can jump 9 spots after beating Miami. Hey, they really have a lot of faith in them. Moving on to Tennessee. They had a big injury this past weekend. Their defensive tackle, Danny O'Brien, he was injured on this weekend. But other news, he was dismissed from the team for violating of team rules. He was dismissed from the team for violating team rules. That's the only thing that's been released. No further details has been released. When we get those, we will share those with you. Before we move on, I have a quick caller that called in and gave us a brief preview of the Virginia Tech and North Carolina game. He's a big North Carolina fan. North Carolina fell short on this weekend. So he wanted to call in and give his outlook on that game. So I'm going to get that played for you right here in just 1 second. And here we go.
What's up, guys? It's your main man Hubcap, all the way from the city of Progress, Enterprise, Alabama. We're going to briefly recap North Carolina and Virginia Tech this past weekend in a wet game thanks to Hurricane Matthew moving on up the coast. An ugly game for the Tar Heels, getting drummed 34-3 on their own field. Quick look at some team stats here. 18 first downs for the Hokies, 8 for the Tar Heels. Virginia Tech holding on to the ball 39 minutes, 59 seconds. Carolina holding on to the ball 20 minutes and 1 second. The Hokies 8 of 20 on third down, while the Heels are only 2 of 14. Fourth down, the Hokies are 1 of 2, and Carolina's 0 of 4. Hokies accounting for 264 yards of offense at 75 through the air and 189 on the ground. Heels only managing 131, 58 through the air, 73 through the ground, which was very unlike them and such an explosive offense that they've shown all season. North Carolina quarterback Mitch Trubisky, who had just recently got his name into some Heisman talk, coming into the game with the nation's highest completion percentage and no interceptions until Saturday. 13 of 33 for 58 yards, throwing 2 interceptions, rushed the ball 8 times for a whopping -2 yards. On the other end of the ball, Gerard Evans, 7 of 17 for 75 yards, no interceptions, rushed the ball 21 times for 49 yards, accounting for a rushing touchdown on his own. In the backfield, North Carolina's T.J. Logan, 14 attempts for 67 yards. It was also the team's leading receiver, another shocker, six catches for 30 yards. And McMillan for Virginia Tech was 17 attempts, 76 yards, and 1 touchdown on his own. And like we said, just kind of shocking for the Tar Heels and the explosive offense they've shown all year, why it just kind of sputtered off here this week. You know, even with the weather being a factor, it just leaves a lot of questions for the North Carolina Tar Heels. Take a look at it. I mean, you can look at it as revenge for last year for the Hokies. Last year, the Tar Heels rolling on into Virginia Tech territory and beat them in overtime to clinch the Coastal Division. So I'm sure that gets that sour taste out of the Hokies' mouth. Turnover is also a big factor in the game. While Virginia Tech did have 7 fumbles, they did recover 4 of them and didn't come back to haunt them. But with Carolina, we talked about Trubisky throwing those 2 interceptions, and they also had 3 fumbles off them. 3 fumbles themselves, and the big thing about that is 20 points Virginia Tech got off of Carolina turnovers, and that really proved to kind of set the tone there early in the game. So moving forward from here, I don't see North Carolina remaining in the top 25 after getting beat like that, and that they had just moved up to 17th last week after that win against Florida State. Virginia Tech, I see moving on up a few spots in the polls after this week's win. Like I said, a lot of adjustments, a lot of questions still yet to be answered for the Tar Heels, and rough loss, and you're only as good as your next game. Back at you, Mark.
Appreciate you, man. That was my guy, Wade Watson, a.k.a. Hubcap. Man, I really, really appreciate that guy, man. He always take the time to call in and enlighten us with his knowledge on college football. He's very, 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 very knowledgeable with college football, and especially with North Carolina Tar Heels. Like I said, I really, really appreciate him. I appreciate all of my loyal callers that call in and share your thoughts and facts with us. But to get back into the show, we're going to talk Blake Barnett. Blake Barnett was recently a quarterback at the University of Alabama. He was coming in as a starter this year, but he was beat out by Jalen Hurts. He decided to transfer earlier. I think it was 2 weeks ago. He decided to transfer. He has found a new home at Palomar Junior College. He can be eligible right now. He can be eligible on a calendar year from the day that he transferred. So I think that will be like September sometime, due to when they did get the paperwork in to finalize his transfer. So from a calendar year from that day, he will be eligible to play college football. But he do have to maintain a 2.5 GPA or above with 12 hours per term at Palomar Junior College. So he has found a home. Glad that he finally found somewhere that he can fit in and be successful. So congrats to him on that. Some four-year universities that are looking to recruit Blake Barnett after this 1 year at a junior college. Notre Dame is on the radar. Michigan, Oregon, and Texas A&M is looking to sign Blake Barnett when he is eligible to come back to a 4-year college after transfer to a junior college. So like I said, I'm glad that he has found a college that fits him. Hopefully that this college fits him and he has a lot of success within that program. Moving on to the NFL, Kaepernick, he's getting his first start for the season versus the Bills. I am elated. I hope the guy does well. I hope he continues to do well after this game. And I hope that he gets back into the talk of one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Because he is. He has the talent to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So I hope he stand up to his potential and play to his potential and have a great rest of the season. Greg Hardy. You know, for the last couple of years, he's been having a little trouble in the NFL. So now Greg Hardy is to pursue a career in the MMA. Greg Hardy said that he will pursue a career in the MMA pretty soon. You know I love MMA, so I will be looking out for that. WWE, for people who cares about the WWE, Goldberg, the Hall of Famer Goldberg, is set to return to Raw on next week. WWE Raw, it do be aired on Monday nights on USA. Kicks off at 7, I think, 7 or 8 o'clock. Goldberg will be at Raw. So people, big WWE fans, tune in Monday to get a chance to see Goldberg return to Raw. I think in the future they are planning for him and Brock Lesnar to have a rematch. So that's something good for the WWE fans. Be a great pay-per-view fight. So if you're entertained by WWE, check in Monday and you will get a chance to see the Hall of Famer Goldberg. Bill Goldberg returns to Raw. Other news, Dolph Ziggler did defeat The Miz at No Mercy on this past Sunday to be the Intercontinental Champion. So congrats to him. I know his career was on the line. His WWE career was on the line if he lost that fight. So moving on, high school football. Alabama high school football this week is a big game for my Wetumpka Indians. They will be taking on the Opelika Bulldogs. Opelika is a premier team here in Alabama, high school team. So there will be a big test for Wetumpka. Hopefully they can pull it out. I will be there covering that game. So make sure you get out. It's a highly anticipated game. Wetumpka needs to win this game to get their last 2 games. Actually, I think they have Benjamin Russell next. They need to win both of these games to clinch a great spot in the playoffs. So for a great first round team in the playoffs. So hopefully good luck to Wetumpka. Hopefully they can pull that off. Carver will be facing Northview. Park Crossing will be facing Lanier. This is actually Lanier's homecoming. So if you're a supporter of Lee, get out there and watch their homecoming versus Park Crossing. Moving on, SEC. On yesterday, the UFC had the Conor McGregor hearing from UFC 202 press conference when him and Nate Diaz got into the little throwing water bottles incident. The UFC did fine Conor McGregor $150,000 for throwing water bottles. He also has to serve a certain amount of hours of community service. So hopefully he can get back on the right track, play that little money. And I know that's little money compared to Conor McGregor. He did release a statement on Twitter. He said that he's talking smack, if you know Conor McGregor. He said that he's been fined more than these other guys has fought in the UFC. So he's been fined $150,000. To the NBA, Nick Young has finally got his first shoe endorsement with Adidas. The shoe is okay. I'm not a big fan of the shoe, but big ups. I know that's a big step in his career to get that endorsement. He plays now with the Los Angeles Lakers. Nick Young had a great game the other night. He dropped 20, helped the Lakers get a victory in one of their preseason games. So he started off a good season financially with his endorsement and contributing to the Los Angeles Lakers. So big ups to Nick Young. You can check out the picture of his shoe. I have a picture of the shoe on my Twitter and Facebook page. So if you were interested in seeing what that shoe looks like, log on to my Twitter page, True Sports Talk. Log on to my Facebook page at True Sports Talk Radio, and you can see a picture of his new released Adidas shoe. More NFL news. Frank Gore has passed Jim Brown in the 9th most rushing yards in the NFL. That is a big time accomplishment for Frank Gore. I am a long-time Frank Gore fan. I'm proud of the guy. He's a future Hall of Famer in my eyes. That's a great accomplishment. Congrats to Frank Gore. Unfortunately, that is my time for the day. I am your host, Marcus Johnson. Thank you for tuning in. This is TST Radio, and we're out.